2024 board meeting of the Urban Flood Safety Water Quality District to order. Thank you all. First order of business, I had sent an email out previously prior to our last board meeting about the need to fill our business rep seat, and we're at a disadvantage by not having the seat filled. It's difficult to pass votes that you need a majority of the full board on if you don't have all your seats filled. And we do have an interested candidate that we had interviewed previously when we were filling the seat before. And I was confident at that time that he was a good individual. I do want to acknowledge that I've had a few questions from board members, and I want to say that this individual, and let me just bring up a little bit of information here. Jason Dumont works for Mosaic Ecology. Mosaic is a business in the managed floodplain. Mosaic is, I just want to acknowledge, a contractor on call with the legacy districts. I'm confident in the fact that I don't believe that poses enough of a conflict of interest not to consider him for the board seat. And if there are business items that do influence his business, then obviously he would need to consider recusing himself in those cases. But I'll just say that up front. I just wanted to be open and honest and out there. You all received my email. You've had time to contemplate other potential candidates. I just wanted to open up a discussion. If anybody had anybody else they would like to nominate for this board seat at this time, be happy to accept those nominations. If not, I would like to move forward and contemplate Jason's nomination on this board. Eric.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would move to appoint Jason Dumont to position N on the board as a business owner or representative of business located in the managed floodplain.
Thank you, Eric. Mary Helen?
I think I've said before that I know Jason, I know Alex Stomps, the business partner. They're wonderful guys. I believe they're on the up and up. My concern was, if we do this, then do we set a precedent that anybody that receives money from could be a future board member? Because I know, I think you mentioned in your email that, and I explained about the sponsorship funds and how those are handled. And I worked with the project Vanport Mosaic, not the place marking, and brought them to the board, and there was quite a discussion about my involvement, so I had to recuse myself from the vote, and I think that's fine. So I was a party to that. If we just set a policy like you just stated, I think that would be of benefit, because I know the Columbia Sioux Watershed Council and Bob do wonderful work, have received funding from MCDD, sponsorships, contracts, that sort of thing. And I don't think that they should have to be excluded, because they are very much an asset to this board. But I think we just need to clarify that going forward, or we don't, and the next board can. But I too support Jason just because I know him. And somebody else could come along that we don't know that purports to be good from any one of the consultants. I don't know how many there are. And I think we need to protect the board and the integrity of the board for that reason.
Is that a second, Mary Helen? And then we can have a discussion?
Yes, I would second, okay. I would second it.
Okay, we have a motion from Eric Mueller, a second from Mary Helen. I'll open up for discussion. I'll just say first, I don't think we need to contemplate any new policies, and I would look to Allison maybe to confirm or deny this. We don't have a current policy that excludes organizations or businesses that happen to cross paths, do business with the districts or our district. There's not that policy. There's just the obvious board seat, general public policy of conflict of interest, but we don't need to adopt anything special for that.
That's right. As former chair of the Ethics Commission, I know the Ethics Act, which every board member and every employee is also subject to. And that says if you have an actual conflict of interest, meaning that you or someone in your family or who lives with you would financially benefit from something before the board, you must recuse yourself and leave and not take part in the discussion. If you have a potential conflict of interest, meaning the issue that is being voted on or discussed may affect you or a family member or someone who lives with you's economic interest, you must disclose, and then you can continue, you can take part. So that's what the law is. The board can always make it tighter than that. They can't make it looser.
Thank you. Eric, discussion?
Yeah, so just point of clarification, Allison. He's going to get paid money as part of this on-call contract that has to be approved annually. Does that mean that he cannot participate in the budget discussions?
So not knowing the particulars, it depends if the board is voting on a line item budget or not. If not, then he could participate. If there's a line item discussion and it includes a discussion of his work, then he would be, he would have an actual financial interest and then could not vote.
So even though he gets paid as an on-call consultant, you're saying that he would be able to participate in the discussion that establishes the budget for him?
Well, so the budget for him or the budget for the district?
So when we approve the budget, we're going to approve it for all categories of spending, which would include whatever line item that he would be paid out of.
So I don't know the specifics of his contract or exactly what would be in the budget vote that you're talking about. But if he is an on-call, if he is one of a number of on-call contractors, in that case, approval of a budget would have a potential financial impact on him if there's a line item approval, which there may not be. But if there were, so in the strictest case, in that case, if there's a potential conflict of interest, what the Ethics Act states is that a person voting, if they have a potential conflict of interest, must state the conflict and then can participate and vote.
Any other questions, discussion?
I don't have it at my fingertips. The existing contract is for a time period that extends beyond the contemplated interim board. I think it goes through 25, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe somebody can, so I don't think there'd be a separate vote. But again, it's really up to you guys. And I would note that there's complex financial relationships between the district and multiple board members. So both from the agency side and the private side. Again, up to you guys, though.
Thanks, Jim. Mary Helen?
Just to clarify, because of my relationship with them is both friendly and as a board member. And so we could really get into the weeds on this, and I don't think we need to. But I think if we abide by the state ethics code, how I understood it is if I voted on something because Jason was a family member, or Jason voted on something because his company would benefit, that has to be clearly stated. So I guess clarification, I seconded the motion because I think that he would be clear and honest, but basically there's a split contract that we approved somewhere in the budget to Northwest Habitat and to Mosaic Ecology for rehabilitation, cleaning out invasive species, that sort of thing. And they've done a number of work before in my neighborhood. And So it's not to say he's a great guy, but it's to say the issue of conflict of interest should be made clear to all future board members of what you can and can't do. I'm not opposed to giving everybody money for whatever they want to do, but we do say that in the sponsorship rules and regulations that Astor wrote. So maybe that same kind of wording, I don't know. I'll leave it to the legal experts, but
I guess I'm unsure. You just said he's a relative of yours? He's a family
no,
member?
no, no. I said, if he were a relative, he's a very good friend, and that doesn't follow the state ethics code. So, it's
Yeah, I am happy to give the board a training about the state ethics laws, and it probably isn't a bad idea. We used to do that at Metro and at the port at Prosper Portland also, and about what actual conflict of interest and potential conflict of interest and what the voting requirements are. And I'm happy to do that. It's probably a longer discussion than to try to go
Yeah.
through every ramification here, but you know, it's all very fact specific. So I'd rather not just say
yeah. No, I
carte
understand.
blanche. This is when, yeah.
That suggestion is wonderful. So, okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Let's get, we're short on time, so go ahead, Tanny, real quick, Bob, and then I'd like to call a vote.
Okay, I would just say that, you know, there's the ethics piece of it, which is really kind of, to me, is a pretty low standard. And then there's the court of public opinion, which is a lot of times, you know, something may not be a conflict, but is it perceived as a conflict? And to me, then it becomes a conflict, whether it is or not, if it is even looked at as a conflict. And it just, if someone has business before the board, I really think that's an awkward situation for everybody involved, him and us.
Thanks, Tanny. Any other last comments? Okay, we have a nomination. We have a motion to nominate from Eric Mueller. We had a second for Mary Helen Kincaid. Hearing no other discussion, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Thank you. Nancy Hendrickson,
Yes.
Steve Fancher,
Yes.
Eric Mueller,
Yes.
Dave Ripa,
Yes.
Seth Reeser, I believe, had to leave. Lori Stegman, I believe, had to leave. Corky Collier. You with us, Corky? I'll come back to you if you can hear us. Rochelle Altman,
Yes.
Mary Helen Kincaid,
Yes.
Tammy Stephenson,
No.
Rick Molander,
No.
alrighty, well then, Ed Washington,
Yeah. Yes.
Bob Salinger,
Yes.
Heather King,
Yes.
Corky Collier.
Yes.
So 10 yeses and 2 nos. Did I get everyone's vote?
All right, thanks, everybody. The motion carries 10-2. Thank you very much, and welcome aboard, Jason. I don't think Jason's with us at this meeting today, but hope to see him at the next meeting and thank him for being willing to put up with the rest of us. Let's move on to the next item. We've got Bill Owen to carry on the presentation, which he did last time, of the capital improvement plan, and we're going to take a vote today. So thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Steve. Good afternoon, all. The CIP documents are located on page 20 of 233. A lot of pages to this time. So I am here, as Steve said, to talk about the CIP, to answer any final questions and entertain a motion for consideration for approval. There's only been a couple of changes since the version you saw at the April 18th meeting two of them are ones that Lori's already described. These are the carry forward items that affect the CIP as well. So we've covered those two. And the third general change has been just formatting of a number of pages in Appendix B. These are the one-page summaries for each of the proposed items in the 5-year CIP. Note that there are no if the project starts or the investment occurs years 6 through 10, that item is not included in Appendix B. So, yep, happy to answer any questions. Big numbers this time around, a little bigger than we're accustomed to at the district. But I'm happy to answer any questions beyond those you posed last time. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Let's open it up. Any questions, comments for Bill? Eric?
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve Resolution 2024-0507, adopting the Urban Flood Safety Water Quality District Capital Improvement Plan for fiscal years 2025 through 2029.
Thank you, Eric. We have a motion from Eric.
Second.
A second. Okay, a second from our other Eric, Mr. Molander, to approve the resolution. Discussion on the motion. I'll just say that this was obviously a massive plan, a lot of work from Bill and his team. So thank you very much. Great work. We're all looking forward to seeing progress in these important physical projects move along. So thank you, Bill. Any other discussion? Eric, I think your hand's just still up from your motion.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I'm not seeing any other discussion at this time, so let's go ahead and do a roll call vote. And go ahead.
Nancy Hendrickson,
Yes.
Steve Fancher,
Yes.
Eric Mueller,
Yes.
Dave Ritma,
Yes.
Corky Collier,
Yes.
Rochelle Altman,
Yes.
Mary Helen Kincaid,
I'm gonna abstain from voting.
Tammy Stephenson,
Yes.
Eric Molander,
Yes.
Ed Washington,
Yes.
Bob Salander,
Yes.
Heather King.
Yes.
Have 11 yeses and 1 abstention.
All right, the motion carries 11 and 1 abstention. 11 yes, 1 abstention. Thank you all very much. Yeah, go ahead. Thanks, Bill. Up next, Lori is going to present for vote the employee benefit plan transfer.
Yes, and I don't have a presentation today, but what all of these documents are that are in your packet is there are a variety of benefits that are provided to the employees that are pre-tax. We have HRA, which is a pre-tax medical deductible plan. We have a flexible spending account, which is also pre-tax. We have our PERS plan, and we have our employee retirement savings program through the state. Those all have what the IRS calls plan documents that need to be adopted by the entity that is providing those benefits to the employees. This is an administrative function. A lot of the language in there is going to seem very technical because it is related to IRS regulations. We do need to adopt those plans to be able to move those existing benefits from MCDD to the urban district when the employees transfer. So I asked Wendy on the side here while she was counting votes to also give us some language. We're hoping, since we're running a little bit behind, that you might consider adopting all of those plans through one motion, but you certainly can do each of the resolutions independently if you would prefer. And I can take any questions.
Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, so Lori, when I was doing M&A activity for CSX, one of the things that we would often delve into is the unfunded liabilities with pensions and with PERS. I realized that the flexible spending account probably does not have any liability associated with that because that's entirely employee driven, correct?
That's correct.
Right, but with PERS, we do have an unfunded liability, correct?
That's correct. And when you offset the amounts, I think if you look at last year's audit report, it's about $5 million.
Okay, and so what this does is, again, just to be clear, is it requires us to take on $5 million worth of future liability.
Associated with current and former employees, yes.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you. But that's the limit of it, as we know today.
Well, as we know, it's an actuarial valuation, so the exact number could vary.
Right. That's the reason I was saying as of today, because that PERS liability
As of the last
can
valuation.
really jump around. Okay, very good. Thank you.
We award all retirees with several cartons of cigarettes just to help out.
With the lifespan.
That's a terrible joke. Is there a reason why we can't, I guess, including item E in approval of the rest of them is a little different because it's not transferring employee benefits. It's doing it's participating in the Oregon PERS retirement plan. Is that why we wouldn't do all of them, Wendy or Lori?
Lori can maybe answer that question.
I'm sorry, I don't know what item E is. I don't have the
Oh,
packet
that
in
was
front of
the
me.
PERS. I thought you'd asked me to leave that one out and do it separately, but maybe I misunderstood.
I did not ask you to leave it out. We can
We
do them
could
all
approve
together.
all of those resolutions if they're all listed together. Okay, Eric,
That's
go ahead.
correct.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I was going to attempt to make a motion to include all of them.
Can we hear from Bob first if he has a comment, question, or is he making a motion? Was he planning to make a motion?
Sorry, my hand should not be up.
Okay, go ahead, Eric.
Okay, so I would move approval of resolutions 2024-05, 02, 03, 04, 05, and 06 for the adoption of various benefit plan arrangement documents.
Very well stated, Eric. On the fly, I'm impressed.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion from Eric Mueller and a second from Eric Molander. We've got a theme going today. Let's do a roll call vote. Or, I'm sorry, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, let's do a roll call vote.
Nancy Hendrickson,
Yes.
Steve Fancher,
Aye.
Eric Mueller,
Yes.
Dave Ritma,
Yes.
Corky Collier,
Yes.
Rochelle Altman,
Yes.
Mary Helen Kincaid,
Yes.
Tammy Stephenson,
Yes.
Eric Molander,
Aye.
Ed Washington,
Yes.
Bob Salinger,
Yes.
Heather King,
Yes.
12 yeses.
Excellent. Motion passes unanimously, 12 yeses. Thank you very much. Before we talk about adjourning, I want to bring up the exciting news that we have gotten two very enthusiastic and very well-written, I would say, endorsements. You got an email earlier from Wendy that included links to these, one from the Willamette Week and one from the Oregonian. So that's great for our GeoBond effort. Hopefully it translates into votes, but we're starting off well there.
I just say the Willamette Week opening line is probably the most accurate journalism I've ever read. For those of you who haven't read it, let me read it to you. There's nothing fun about Measure 26-243. a property tax measure that has mostly annoyed the few people who know about it.
Well said.
But then it goes on to be very, very positively persuasive, I think.
Way to set the
And as your
expectation.
legal counsel here, I'm just gonna step in and just say, let's move on and advise you to not
Okay.
inadvertently violate any ethics rules by advocating for any pending measure.
Thank you, Allison. It's just very accurately reported. Wendy.
Yeah, just say our next meeting will be the on May 16th in Fairview, and please respond to the lunch invitation. And then we'll be at the port for the TFCC hearing on June 5th. And we are looking at a need to make some changes to that June board meeting schedule. So check your emails for incoming.
Will there be any options for a hybrid meeting?
There's always options
Okay,
for hybrid
I just-
meetings. Yes, that is
Okay.
our state law.
Thank you to Fairview and the Port for hosting. It's always nice to get a change of venue.
And can I ask one question about what Allison just said about public officials? If we have documents supporting that and we give them to people, does that violate anything, or is it just providing the information that we were given? I've gotten mixed reviews about that.
Well, it's pretty clear if you are speaking in your public official stance, then you should only use the documents that have been approved by the Secretary of State, which staff has sent you and is on our website. If you're speaking as an individual and you make it clear that way, and you're not doing that in the middle of an official capacity, then you can exercise your First Amendment rights.
Okay, so if someone comes to my door and says, what do I need to know about this? Like the social media post.
If
I
they're
say,
asking
I
you
can- I-
as a neighbor and as somebody, if they're asking you as just a neighbor and they have no idea that you are
No, they
in your
have an idea
position
that I'm on the, they have an
okay,
idea.
then they will be assuming that you're speaking in your official position, and then you should not advocate.
Okay, so I can just refer them to MCDD for any further.
Yes, or you can
information.
hand them the
Because they-
documents yourself, or you
Okay.
can say, here's what I can tell you as an official. But I'm at my home and it's not business hours and I'm not working right now. And if you want to know how I personally feel, I can tell you that.
Okay. I'm usually always at home and I'm retired, so I kind of fit into a funny category, but that helps because I was kind of confused about what do you think? And now I have a good response that I can tell them what I think, which is to support it, but I didn't want to get out of that box of getting in trouble somehow. So thanks.
Thank you, Allison. Thanks, Mary Helen. Does anybody object to getting 10 minutes back in their day? I got thumbs up. I got something like this from Eric. I think we're good. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thanks,
Meeting adjourned.
Bye.
Thank you.